Good morning. My name is Hodl, as you can see here. I work with Coinkite. We are a Canadian-based company based out of Toronto. We are a hardware wallet company. We are a Bitcoin-only hardware wallet company. No shitcoins or altcoins, depending on your preference. And we're here today to talk about UTXO management. A lot of people don't really know what UTXO management is. And obviously, it's kind of important for self-custody. I'm a big self-custody supporter, and you want to be in control of your own Bitcoin, right? We don't want to be holding our Bitcoin on Coinbase, Celsius, BlockFi, FTX, you name it. There's been plenty of examples of people that have held Bitcoin on exchanges, not in their own custody, and have gotten burned. Obviously, trial by fire is kind of the best way to learn about self-custody because you get your funds rugged, and then you're like, okay, what do I need to do to manage my own money and be my own bank? So, like I said, we're Coinkite. We help you be your own bank, and we offer many products. We offer our MK4 on the left here. It's our staple as well as our cold card Q. That is basically a newer version of the MK4. So these are our hardware wallets, right? Like I said, Bitcoin only. And we offer other products like OpenDime, Sats cards, tap signers. If you've ever seen the block clock in kind of like the podcast, things like that, in the background, we offer that. Block clock micro, T-shirts, things like that. Basically everything that you could need to self-custody your Bitcoin. So today is UTXO management. UTXO stands for Unspent Transaction Output. If you're using like a hot wallet on your phone, you might not realize that you have UTXOs, but every address that you withdraw Bitcoin to has UTXOs in them, and that's kind of what we're going to be going over today. So like I said, I'm Hodl D on Twitter if you guys want to follow me, and if you have any questions after, I'll be over on the left. So I just want to start off this talk with Satoshi Nakamoto's quote of the first sentence in the Bitcoin white paper. A purely peer-to-peer version of electronic cash that allow online payments to be sent directly from one party to another without going through a financial institution, right? A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to take responsibility for my money. It's fine. Someone else can hold it for me. And like I said earlier, we've had plenty of examples of people that have held their Bitcoin on exchanges, not in their own custody, and have been burned. So I really implore you or highly recommend you take self-custody very seriously. And you can always start with a small amount, 5, 10, $100. Just learn and then dive deeper as you get into the weeds, right? At first it can be daunting, but once you learn it, it's a lot easier. So we're just going to kind of go over a couple acronyms and what self-custody is about. And starting off with your hardware wallet. A hardware wallet or a signing device is basically an offline device that you keep your keys on, your private and public key. And instead of having it on your phone or allowing someone else like Coinbase to hold your keys for you, it holds your keys, it holds your private keys very securely, very safely. So obviously with our MK4 or Q, that is what's basically holding your keys and what you're going to be using to sign transactions. It's not just like you withdraw to an address on your phone and click send. You need an extra step, basically a barrier between you and your phone or you and someone else to sign a transaction first with your signature, your private key, and then you can spend your Bitcoin. You want your private keys fully offline. You want a device that is not connected to the internet to store your seed because obviously Bitcoin is the most important thing, and you don't want it online. You want your private keys offline. So that's what a signing device is. Like I said, cold card Q, MK4, that's what we're going to be doing. And for the cold card Q, it's an upgraded MK4, so it has a bigger screen. It has a QR code scanner that you can basically scan and import signatures into your phone very quickly. Usually some people use the SD card method. We call it the air gaps method. This is probably the best method because you're basically having a separate step between your computer. You're not plugging it in, right? You can still plug in your cold card or your signing device if you want. Not recommended, but there's multiple ways via QR, NFC, USB, or SD card, kind of what your preference is. So public and private key. Think of like a public and private key like an email address and and your password, right? With a public key, this is kind of what you're going to be using to view your Bitcoin, right? On an offline device that is not connected to the internet, you can't see your Bitcoin on the device, right? I'm a support specialist at Coinkite, and we get this question a lot. You know, I can't see my Bitcoin on my device. It's like, okay, well, that device is never connected to the internet. It's never connected to Bitcoin, right? It's just math. It's just generating your addresses through math, so you can't see that online or offline. So you need a public. You basically need your public key to be imported into a companion app like Sparrow or Nunchuk, something like that, to view your Bitcoin and generate addresses to receive. Your private key, that's what lives fully offline on your cold card or signing device, and that is what you need to sign transactions to actually broadcast to Bitcoin and to send funds, right? You don't need your private key to receive funds. You need your private key to send funds. So like I said, it's like an email address, right? You can show your email address to people. In this case, probably not recommended, because if someone has your email address, they can see all your Bitcoin. But they can't spend any of your Bitcoin, right? They're not able to spend your money. They need your private key to spend your money. A watch-only wallet is basically, think of it like a glass box, right? A glass vault, per se, where you can see inside, but you can't get anything out of it, right? So on your cold card or signing device, you're basically going to export a watch-only wallet onto Nunchuk, Sparrow, Spectre, you name it. And you can see all your Bitcoin, you can see your addresses, but you still need your private key to spend your funds. And that's kind of the most important part here. And so like it's a glass vault, you can see inside, but you can't withdraw anything without your private key. So we call that a watch-only wallet. XPub stands for extended public key. That's kind of the file or the line that you're going to be importing into Sparrow or Nunchuk to view your funds. Lastly, partially signed Bitcoin transaction, PSBT. I don't know if you guys heard of that. It's basically what you're going to be doing to create a transaction on your companion app. So like I said, with your watch-only wallet, you can create transactions. You can see all the inputs, see all the outputs, but you still need your private key to sign it. So you're going to create that transaction. You're going to say where you want to send it to, what UTXOs you want to use, which addresses you're going to send to, which addresses you're going to receive to, whatever. And then you're going to create that transaction. You're going to export it from your computer or your phone, wherever. And then you're going to import it into your cold card that is fully offline, right? It's not connected to the internet. Sign it with your private key, and then re-import that signed transaction into your companion app and then broadcast it. So we'll get into that a little bit. We're going to do a kind of a crash course demo on Nunchuk Wallet in a minute. So like we were talking about earlier, UTXOs, it's kind of a scary, daunting word, but once you kind of break it down, it's actually really simple. So unspent transaction output, think of it like dollar bills, right? You buy coffee, you give them a $5 bill, okay? That's your $5 UTXO. If you have a lot of smaller UTXOs, you're going to have to pay more on-chain fees. Why is that? Okay, because you're pushing more data onto chain. As you know, Bitcoin blocks are about 4 megabytes. So the more data that you're pushing into a block, the more you have to pay for that transaction. Right, you're basically bribing a miner to include your transaction in a block, and that's how Bitcoin works. So ideally, I don't know if you guys know this, but people like to say, you want to have UTXOs that are about 1 million sats, right? Anything under 1 million sats in the future could potentially be dust. Not saying that it's going to be, but that's a good rule of thumb, is about 1 million sats if you're withdrawing from an exchange or wherever. Because you want to have, like, for example, if you have 1 million sats, you have 10,000 sats, but the fee rate on Bitcoin is really high, right? Everyone's using Bitcoin, and it's super expensive. It actually might cost you more in fees than what your dollar bill or your UTXO amount is. So that's why 1 million sats is a nice buffer. Sometimes I recommend going higher, 5 million sats, 10 million sats, right? 0.05, 0.1 Bitcoin. So higher denominations will save you a lot of money bribing miners in the future, right? We don't like taxes. I mean, I personally don't like taxes. And paying 13% of my my transaction and fees is not ideal for me. I want to be around maybe 1% or less of my transaction going to the miners to bribe them. So let's talk about fees a little bit here. So in Bitcoin, I don't know if you guys heard of mempool.space, but mempool.space is a fantastic block explorer, and it kind of shows you what the going fee rate is at any given time for the next block. So for this example, I guess fee rates right now are probably between 4 and 6 sats per byte. So we're actually really low right now, which is really good. It's a great time to consolidate maybe those UTXOs that you've been DCing out of an exchange $50 at a time. Those might be a little low for the future, so you want to consolidate those right now while fees are low, and you're going to save a lot of money, right? Instead of spending tens or hundreds of dollars on fees, you might be spending a couple cents to $1, right? You don't want to just throw away your money. So for the example here, we're doing like a 1 versus 10 output transaction, right? Think of a flow chart like you have 10 $100 bills, and you're flowing them all into one $1,000 bill, right? We want to bribe the miner to consolidate our UTXOs. For the one output, we're going to go with 1 million sats at 100 sats per byte. That's pretty high. Obviously, we're at 4 to 5, so 100 is going to be a little high. But in this example, if we're sending 1 million sats, we're going to pay almost 10,000 sats in fees. So that's just over 1% of your transaction is going to be going to the miner. But if we have 100,000 sats, but they're in 10 outputs, so still 1 million, but they're in 10 different dollar bill denominations rather than just one, you're going to be paying 72,000 sats for that transaction, right? That's 7 times more Bitcoin that you have to bribe the miner with to accept your transaction, right? I don't want to be paying 7 times more to fees. I would rather spend 1% rather than 7% of my transaction to fees. And it's I want to hold as much Bitcoin as possible. I don't want to give it up for free. So the cheaper the better. Same goes for like 1,000 sats, right? If we have a 100,000 sat UTXO, right? Say a $100 bill, and we want to spend it at 1,000 sats per byte. Maybe global adoption of Bitcoin is here. Nation states are settling between each other in Bitcoin. Fees are going to go up, and at the halving it was 1,000 sats per byte, right? That was the norm for a few hours, but in the future it might be the norm for days or months. If you have 100,000 sats, that UTXO is now dust because it will cost you more in fees than what that UTXO is worth. So that's not good, right? That's like maybe $50, $60 worth of Bitcoin. So the whole point of my talks today is to prepare for the future. Right now you're like, fees are low. It's only going to cost me 30 cents to send a transaction. Why do I care? Well, in the future, when we're done hodling, or not done hodling, but maybe spending our Bitcoin a little bit, paying for bills, you want to be prepared for those really high fee environments. And at that fee rate, 100,000 sats becomes dust because it costs more in fees than it does the dollar denomination. Same with 1,000 sats here with 10 outputs, right? If you have 1 million sats that you want to spend, which is 10 times the amount we were saying over there, we have 1 million sats that we want to send at 1,000 sats per byte. It's going to cost you 72% of that transaction or that UTXO, those UTXOs, to actually send those 10 outputs. So you'd be sending 1 million sats, but you'd only be getting back just under 300,000 sats. That's total. That's not good, right? I wouldn't want that, and I don't think either would you. So really think about this when you're withdrawing from exchanges or buying Bitcoin in general, or when fees are low. Maybe consolidate some of those UTXOs, and then just think about it. So now that we know what UTXOs are, we're going to kind of show you Nunchuk. Nunchuk.io is a mobile wallet as well as a desktop wallet. And we're going to show you how to RBF a transaction, which means replace by fee. So for example, you send a transaction, you already paid the fee, you broadcasted it, but you broadcasted it at maybe a smaller fee rate, right? So if the going fee rate is 5 sats per byte right now, maybe I accidentally broadcasted it at 2 sats per byte. And it's in the mempool. I'm a little bit in a rush. I don't want to wait days for this thing, maybe months to confirm on chain. I want to speed up the process. You can do that. It's actually really easy. and we're going to show you how to do it. So this is Nunchuk.io. Highly recommend you take a look. They're in the App Store, Google Play, whatever, as well as desktop. I also recommend Sparrow Wallet if you're somewhat of a, not a power user, but someone that's interested in learning about desktop wallets. I know everyone loves their phones nowadays, so kind of whatever you prefer. But Sparrow's also a great wallet that can use RBF. A lot of wallets use RBF nowadays, but we're going to be showing you Nunchuk today. So when you get into Nunchuk, this is kind of what you're going to be looking at on the left-hand side here. I've already imported my XPub, right, my extended public key, my email address per se. I've already added that key, which is a Q demo, into Nunchuk, and I've created my wallet and I've funded my wallet. In the middle here, if you want to receive money, you basically just click into that wallet, and it would show you how much Bitcoin you have, and you just click this button in the corner, or sorry, in the middle here that says receive, and a QR code would show up, and you could scan that, or you could copy that address and send Bitcoin to it, right? That's the easiest thing, right? Coinbase is going to say, okay, what address do you want to send to? You copy paste that into Coinbase or whatever, and they would withdraw for you, and they'd handle that whole process for you. We're kind of going into the more responsibility route where we want to take control of our Bitcoin. We want to kind of be more hands-on and do it ourselves. So this is kind of what we're doing. So we've received Bitcoin into our wallet, and now we want to spend Bitcoin. Or for this example, we want to view the UTXOs in our wallet. So in the corner here on the right, you can see it says View Coins. So you can click that button in your wallet, and you can see all the UTXOs that are in that wallet. For this example, this is a demo, so that's why these UTXOs are very small. They're nearly 50,000 sats each, except for the last one. But as you can see here, we see our coins. We have 5 UTXOs, right? And they are about $32 each. Now, we want to consolidate those transactions. So what are we going to do? So we can either select all of them here. We can see consolidate coins, and then we'll be on our way. You can also, with UTXOs, you can if you have a certain UTXO that has a special thing in it, or you don't, for example, non-KYC versus KYC. Right? You don't want to spend your KYC with your non-KYC Bitcoin because that means all your Bitcoin becomes KYC on-chain, right? If you're consolidating transactions, there is the privacy trade-off of having all those UTXOs linked together on-chain. So something to think about, obviously. But if they're very small, you probably want to consolidate them. Or you can, if you have some non-KYC Bitcoin that you don't want to spend, you can freeze or lock those coins so that they don't accidentally being spent with your KYC Bitcoin, etc. So you can lock them, unlock them, whatnot. But we're going to be consolidating today. So what we're going to do, we could click that button to consolidate, but we're going to do it a different way. We're going to click send in our wallet on the top left here, and we're sending all of our Bitcoin. So we click send all, continue. And then we're creating the transaction over here. So this is what we're creating that PSBT I'm talking about, right? The partially signed Bitcoin transaction. We haven't signed anything yet. We haven't pulled out our cold card and actually signed with our private key. We're just creating the transaction, showing the UTXOs that we want and the address that we want to send to. So we're going to, in Nunchuk, basically it sets the fee rate for you. But if you want to set a custom fee rate, then you can click Customize Transaction, which is what we're doing here. So for this example, fee rates, as you can see, the processing speed at the time is 4 sats per byte. We're going to send it at 2 sats per byte because we want to RBF this transaction. We want to show you how to bump up that fee. So we have our estimated fee, total amount, and kind of the transaction, not history, but kind of like what makes up the transaction, what makes up our PSBT. And then when we're ready, we say, okay, I'm happy with this. We're going to confirm and create that transaction. So for this example, we're going to be using the QR code method that's new to our cold card queue. Highly recommend checking it out. And what we're going to do is we're going to sign it, right? It says air gapped, so Q demo, air gapped. And now we can't just broadcast it because it's not a hot wallet. It's a cold wallet. It's offline. We need our cold card queue to sign this transaction. So we're going to click sign. And what we're going to do is we're going to export that transaction. We use a standard called barbecue or BBQR. It's just a new, more efficient way of transferring QR codes. And so we're going to click that, and then a big QR code is going to come up. And this is your PSBT. This is your partially signed Bitcoin transaction. It has not been signed yet. what you're going to do is you're going to sign into your cold card. You're going to scan it with your cold card. And then it's going to say, OK, this is the address. Everything's on the screen, right? You want to make sure that your signing device has a screen so you can verify what you're signing. Some things, I'm not going to obviously name names, but some things don't have a screen. And that means that you're blindly signing a transaction. You have no idea what you're signing. So you want to have a screen so that you can see on the screen what you're signing. So on your cold card queue, it says, this is the address, this is the fee rate. Do you want to sign? And you say yes. And basically, you would show that QR code back to your phone or your desktop, whatever. You hold it up to the camera, and it would scan the signed transaction. And on the next screen, it says signed, right? OK, so now we have our signed PSBT, and now we're ready to broadcast that transaction. So we click broadcast. The transaction has been successfully broadcasted. You can add a label to it. So we added consolidation so that we know that we are consolidating addresses. Labels are great. I love labels just for non-KYC, KYC, consolidations, whatever you want. It's just nice to label things so you know what's going on behind the scenes so you're not mixing up your coins in ways that you don't want to. So what we're going to do is we're going to click into this transaction. And we're going to see that it's pending confirmations on chain. And it has been signed by our, if it's pending confirmations on chain, obviously it's been signed by our cold card. So we're going to click View on Blockchain Explorer on the bottom here. And this is going to pull up mempool.space like I was talking about earlier. Mempool.space is fantastic. It's a great way to check your transactions and see what's going on and how long it's going to take. So as you can see here, it's unconfirmed, and the ETA is not anytime soon. So that might take months, if not years. It might not even confirm at all. The fee rate is so low, it's at 2 sats per byte. We haven't seen 2 sats per byte in, I think, over a year. So if you're sending Bitcoin to a friend or you're paying for something in Bitcoin on chain, that's not good enough for me. I want to bump that fee rate up. I want to be further in queue. Basically. This is the mempool, right? So think of it like a bus line. If you pay more, you can go to the front of the line, right? It's a priority fee structure. So if you bribe the miner more than the person in front of you, you get bumped in front of them. That's just kind of how it works, right? The miners want to make as much money as possible, so whoever pays the higher fee gets included first. So not anytime soon. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Nunchuk. We're going to click into our more details, and we're going to replace by fee, so RBF. So it's going to bring you back to the PSBT. We're basically replacing the transaction that we just made, and we're going to bump it to, instead of 2 sats per byte, we're bumping it up to 5 because to get into the next block at the time, it was 4 sats. So we're going to bump it just a little bit higher so that we're at the front of the queue. So we're going to create that transaction again. And since we created a new transaction, we have to go back to our cold card to sign it again, right? We can't just broadcast a new transaction with a higher fee. It's not a hot wallet. It's a cold wallet. We need to sign again. So we confirm and create that transaction. We sign it again. We get the QR code that's unsigned. We scan it with our cold card queue. It says this is how much you want to sign, or this is the address you want to send to. This is the fee. Is this OK? Yes. OK. Sign it. Show it back to our Nunchuk wallet. It is signed, and then we rebroadcast that transaction. So transaction has been broadcasted. We're paying a higher fee. We're paying an extra few cents at this time. And then now the ETA is 8 minutes. And as you can see, we're in the next block, right? So we got bumped way ahead. This will take a few minutes rather than months, years. And then as you can see, in a few minutes, in about 4 minutes, it had one confirmation, and you've successfully broadcast that transaction and sent that Bitcoin to the address that you specified. So that's how you RBF. And it was confirmed after 4 minutes rather than not any time soon. And you successfully RBF'd and learned a little bit crash course on UTXO management. So again, my name is Hodl. I work for Coinkite. I want to thank everyone for coming today. And yeah, thanks for having me. And if you have any questions, I'll be right over here. So thanks. Cheers.